Okay, hi guys. Okay, today we are going to talk about the circulatory system. So in the circulatory system, please take a look at page 5 of your notes. Alright. Okay, I know that you have already copied some of these notes down. Okay, but I'm just going to run through with them very quickly with you. Alright, as a form of recap. Okay, so firstly, when we talk about the circulatory system, why is it important? Because nutrients and waste products are carried by a transport system in our body called the circulatory system. And so our circulatory system actually affects our health. Okay, we need a healthy circulatory system. Blood needs to flow smoothly and continuously so that oxygen and digested food, okay, the food which is digested, are quickly brought to all the cells in your body, and the carbon dioxide and all the waste material are removed from the respiring cells and move out from the cells. Alright. Okay, so now your circulatory system is actually made up of a few main components. Right, it is actually made up of your heart. Right, so the heart is like a pump. Okay, it's a muscular pump that will pump the blood around your body. Right. And then it is made up of your blood vessels. Okay, so the blood vessels are actually tubes, and inside this tube it will carry blood all around your body. And then finally what you have is the blood itself. So the blood is actually the liquid that transports substances like oxygen, digested food, and carbon dioxide. Okay, right. So next, okay, we are going to talk about how actually the blood is pumped all around the body, right? Okay, so normally when you look at pictures of the heart, it will look something like that. Okay, the heart will be in between your lungs like that, right? So what you have over here will be your heart, right? This is the muscular pump that will pump the blood. And then you have your lungs, right? And in case you forget, remember this thing over here, this is actually referring to your diaphragm, right? Okay, so this thing over here is your diaphragm. Okay, but you will notice that in the event of this worksheet, okay, in the event of this note, okay, many times you will see that the heart will be drawn below the lungs like that, right? So the reason why this is separated is just to show the flow of blood from the heart to the lungs, from the lung back to the heart, and then from the heart to the rest of the body, from the rest of the body back to the heart. Right? Okay, so how it look like will be something like that. Okay, the heart will go to the lungs, right? So it will go to the lung, and then it will take the oxygen from the lungs, right? And then the lungs, from the lungs, the blood will go back into the heart, right? Okay, so it will go back into the heart, right? And then the heart now has the blood which is rich in oxygen, will go and pump this blood all the way to the rest of the body. So the rest of the body will get the blood which is rich in oxygen. And then at the rest of the body over here, okay, at this portion at the rest of the body, what happens is that there will be respiration. So the oxygen will be converted to carbon dioxide, right? The cells will get energy, and after that, the cells will actually release the blood, and the blood will actually go back to your heart, right? And then the cycle will process again, and it will continue to move in a cycle like that. Alright, so roughly this is how we will actually draw it out, okay, when we are talking about how the blood is pumped around the body. Okay, so next we will be looking in more detail. Okay, so normally this is how we will draw. Okay, normally this is how we will draw your heart, this is how we draw your lungs, and this is how we represent the rest of the body, right? So what will happen is that the blood will actually get pumped out from the top. Okay, so the blood gets pumped out from the top of the heart like that. It goes to the rest of the body. Okay, it goes to the rest of the body. And then from the rest of the body, this is where the oxygen will be converted to carbon dioxide, right? And then the cells will get energy. And then the blood will come out. Okay, the blood will come out, the blood will come out, and then it goes back to the heart, right? And then the heart will pump again. Okay, it will pump, and then the blood will go, it will go, it will go, it will go to the lungs, right? So over here, okay, when the blood goes to the lungs, this is where it will get additional oxygen, right? So what will happen is that the oxygen will then from the lungs go in back to the blood, and then the carbon dioxide from the blood will go into the lungs, right? And then what will happen is from the lungs, the blood which is now rich in oxygen will go down, will go down, will go down, will go down to the heart, right? And then after that, what will happen is that the heart will continue to pump, and then the cycle will continue, right? So what you will notice is this part of your heart, this part of your body, right? This is the part where we call oxygenated blood, okay, which means that this is the part which is rich in oxygen, all right? The other part over here, okay, the other part over here on this side over here, this is the part where it is deoxygenated blood, right? So I will put over here, this is the part where you have oxygenated blood. Okay, oxygenated means it is rich in oxygen, right? So that means there is a lot of oxygen over here. Over here on the left hand side, the one in blue, this is actually your deoxygenated blood, right? So what does deoxygenated blood means? It means poor or low. Okay, it means poor or low in oxygen. Okay. Now, one thing that you need to realize is that when we look at the picture of the heart, this portion over here is often called the left side of the heart. This portion over here is often called the right side of the heart. Alright? Okay, so now why is it that this portion is called the left side, right? And why is this portion called the right side, right? Okay, so I want you to go and think about that, right? And then see whether you can figure out, okay, why do we call this portion the left side of the heart? And why do we call, why do we call this portion the right side of the heart? Alright, okay, and then if you can figure out, you can either WhatsApp me or Mr. Fahmi, okay, but if you can't figure it out, don't worry, during our next Zoom lesson, okay, we will explain in more detail, okay, why is this considered the left side and why is this considered the right side of the heart. Okay, right, now, okay, so now we are going to the next page. Turn to page number 6 of your notes. So in page number 6 of your notes, you will see this diagram over here, right? So this one over here, this portion over here, this is actually your heart, right? So this is actually your heart, right? And what is the portion at the top over here? The portion at the top over here will refer to your lungs, right? And then the portion at the bottom over here will represent the rest of the body, right? So this will represent the rest of body, right? Okay, so I will need you to go and copy this down also. Heart, lungs, as well as rest of body. So please go and copy that down inside your notes as well, alright? Okay, next. Okay, what have we learned? We have learned that blood will come out from the top over here, right? So the blood will come out from the top, and then the blood will actually go down to the rest of the body, right? So it will actually go to the rest of the body. Okay, then from the rest of the body, there will be a exchange of gases, and then over here, there will be the blood will pump back into the heart like that, right? And then since this portion over here, it is low in oxygen. Okay, please copy this down also. Okay, the one on the left. Okay, the one in blue, sorry. Okay, the one in blue is low in oxygen. Okay, so please copy this down. Okay, what will happen is that the heart will pump the blood up again. Okay, so when the heart pumps the blood up again, it goes back into the lungs, right? So once it goes into the lungs, that's when the lungs will actually put in oxygen into the blood. Okay, you will transfer the oxygen to the blood, right? So on the red color side of the heart, okay, the red color over here, this is known as the portion, okay, where the blood is actually rich in oxygen. Okay, rich in oxygen. Okay, now take note, okay, when you talk about the different blood vessels, okay, remember what are blood vessels? Okay, when you talk about blood vessels are actually the tubes. Okay, tubes that will carry the blood, right? Okay, will actually carry the blood. Okay, so when you talk about blood vessels, you're referring to the tubes that carry the blood in your body. So please take note, okay, the portion that comes out here from the heart, Okay, the portion that comes out from the heart here. This is known as your arteries. Okay, arteries. So this one also, this is also artery. Okay, this one is also artery. Okay, these two, this one and this one, okay, they are your arteries, right? Okay, and then the portion which actually goes back into the heart. Okay, so this one, right, this portion goes back into the heart like that. Okay, this portion over here, this one goes back into the heart, right? So the one on the left and the one over here, okay, these two goes back into the heart. This will be known as your vein, right? So this will be known as your vein. Okay, this one also will be known as your vein. Okay, this portion over here, right? So this one is your vein. Okay, veins, right? This one over here, veins. Okay, this one all go back into the heart. Okay, this one, the dotted one over here, this is the artery. Okay, artery. Okay, this one over here, the one that comes out from the heart, this one is also your artery, right? Okay, so remember, arteries carry blood away from the heart. Okay, that means the arteries come out from the heart. Okay, or rather the blood comes out from the heart. Okay, veins, on the other hand, carry blood from other parts of the body to the heart. Okay, so arteries carry blood away from the heart. Veins carry blood to the heart. Alright, so this is the difference between arteries and veins. Okay, now in between your artery and in between your vein, okay, at the rest of the body over here, you will have smaller blood vessels. Okay, your capillaries over here are actually your very small, okay, very small and fine blood vessels. Okay, so your very small and very fine blood vessels. Okay, so this is to connect, okay, from your arteries to your vein, right? So you will have your capillaries over here. So these are known as your capillaries, right? So same thing at the lungs also, you have this very small little capillaries over here as well. All right. Okay, right. So now, okay, for those of you who miss me, okay, there you go. Okay, that's a photo of me, right? Okay, so why do I actually put a photo of me? It's actually not for you to see my face, okay? Actually, it's more for you to take a look at my hands over here, right? Okay, so actually, if you look at your hands also, okay, you will realize that there will be this very fine, okay, not so much fine, but it's actually like very greenish or bluish blood vessels, okay, under your skin, right? So these are actually your veins. Okay, this is actually your veins. Okay, your veins are actually a lot softer, okay, compared to your artery, right? Okay, so if I were to flex my arm a little bit, okay, you will see that there will be this muscular blood vessel. Okay, this is not your muscle, okay, this is a muscular blood vessel. Okay, your muscles do not look like tubes like that. Okay, your muscles are normally found over here. Okay, this is where your muscles are all found, right? But this one over here, you see that this is actually a tube, right? So the blood is actually flowing inside this tube over here, right? And then you compare it to this one over here. Okay, this green little thing over here, right? This is actually your vein. Okay, this is actually your artery, right? Okay, so you will notice that your artery is actually a lot thicker, okay, compared to your vein. Okay, your veins, the thickness of the veins are not so thick. Okay, it's slightly thinner, okay, compared to the artery. Okay, so as mentioned just now, okay, we have the three different type of blood vessels, right? You have your artery, you have your vein, and then you have your capillary, right? So you have your artery, you have your vein, and you have your capillary. Okay, so remember, artery is to transport blood away from heart. Okay, so blood away from heart. Okay, and then the vein is to transport blood to the heart. Okay, to transport the blood to the heart. Okay, and then your capillary is actually very small and very fine blood vessels. Okay, very small and very fine blood vessels. Okay, so now let's take a look at what is the difference between your artery, vein, and capillary. Okay, so your artery, because it carries blood away from the heart, it needs to be thick, right? Why? Because when the blood pump out from the heart, the pressure from the heart is very, very high, right? So the heart is like a pump, right? So the moment you actually pump the blood out from the heart, there will be a lot of pressure coming out from the artery. So that's why the artery needs to be very, very thick. Okay, it needs to be thicker like that, right? Compared to the vein and the capillary, it needs to be thicker, right? Because if it's not thick, and then the blood that comes out from the heart is very fast, very high in pressure, what will happen is that if it's not thick, the blood vessels can burst, right? If the blood comes out from the heart with very high pressure, okay, it's very high pressure, and then this is not thick, okay, what will happen is that the blood vessels can burst, right? So you need this to be thick so that it will be able to withstand the very strong pressure due to the blood coming out from the heart, all right? So the function is to carry blood away from the heart. Okay, for vein, the purpose is to carry the blood towards the heart. Okay, so by this time, the blood already traveled to the rest of the body, all right, and then from the rest of the body, the blood is going back up to the heart. So, okay, the vein doesn't have to be so thick. The pressure in the vein is not going to be so high. Okay, the blood pressure in the vein is not going to be so high, right? So you see that the muscular wall of the vein over here is actually very, very thin, okay, compared to the muscular wall of the artery over here, right? And because it is thin, there is the danger that the blood can actually flow backward, right? Okay, because the pressure in the vein is very low, there's the danger that it can flow backward. So there will be valves present to ensure blood flows in one direction. Okay, so what does that mean, right? So this is your heart, right? Okay, this is your blood going back into the heart, right? So the blood is going back into the heart, right? So if the blood is going back into the heart, remember we call this the vein, right? We call this the vein. So the veins will have this thing called the valve, right? So you will have the valve. So the blood will go into the vein like that. So because the valve is arranged in such a way, the blood can go in, but then cannot come out. Okay, so it doesn't drop backwards like that. Okay, it will just go in and then it goes all the way back to the heart like that, right? Okay, and then finally you have your capillary. Your capillary are your very small and fine blood vessel, right? So they are so small and so fine that actually the thickness is only one cell. Okay, the thickness is only one cell. Okay, the reason why it has to be small and fine is because you want to have efficient exchange of gas, okay, between the blood and the capillary, right? So the what you want is the oxygen to go into the cell and then the carbon dioxide to come out from the cell back to the capillary, right? So that's why it needs to be very thin, okay? So it's very narrow blood vessel and it only allows one red blood cell to pass through at any one time, okay? And its job is to supply the blood from the arteries to body cells and tissues, okay? And it is also to connect the arteries to the veins. Okay, right, and now, okay, we want to try some practice questions. Okay, so can you please turn to your workbook, okay, and complete this, okay, and complete these pages. Okay, go to your workbook, complete page 55, complete page 56, okay, complete page 57, as well as complete page 73, right? Okay, now it may seem a lot, okay, but actually some of the questions are actually multiple choice, and then you have about 2 questions, 3 questions, and so on and so forth. All right, so after you have completed doing this 4 pages over here, okay, please go and mark. Okay, there will be another video for you to actually go and take a look at your answers and for you to actually mark. All right, you can. So thank you.